Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Frank Mularcik, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at my dividend portfolio and looking at all the dividends that I received in the month of October 2021. So first of all, we just want to look at the spreadsheet just to see where we're at before we make any updates. So I own all these stocks, and you can see how many shares I own here, and the day change, stuff like that. And then I have some information about the dividends and yield on cost over here, which is pretty interesting. So right now I own these stocks: Amcor, Carnival Corporation, AT&T, Aflac, Carrier Global, Coca-Cola, Caterpillar, Apple, Travelers, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, Cisco Systems, ExxonMobil, Leggett & Platt, Southern Company, Pfizer, JP Morgan Chase, Microsoft, Air Products and Chemicals, and AbbVie. So those are the stocks I own. You can pause it if you want to look at any more detailed information there. Right now, this is the overall information. The total value is around $1,800 with an annual dividend income of $47.46. And the average 3-year dividend CAGR is around 8.91%, while the dividend yield is around 2.84%. So that CAGR right there, I like that a lot where it's at, and I'm pretty excited about that I was able to get that up there. But that was actually mostly just due to AbbVie's or at least a lot of the reason for that increase. I was sitting around the 7% mark. A lot of that increase to around the 9% mark was because of the addition of AbbVie, and I think that should decrease a little bit because AbbVie did increase their dividend recently. It's not showing up here in the spreadsheet quite yet. They did increase the dividend, but it was much lower than the let's see, what was it, 22% average 3-year dividend CAGR. I think it was around 9%. So that will decrease a little bit, and the overall average will decrease, but we'll have to wait and see till next month when that actual dividend gets updated here. And you can look at the equity and dividend income by sector if you want to. So that's right here. Pretty heavily in tech and healthcare, around 20% each. But as you can see, tech only produces less than 10% of the income, and healthcare produces a lot more now that we have AbbVie. So definitely probably not going to add to healthcare anytime soon. If I make any changes, it may be a sell at some point. I'm not really sure on that one, but let's go over to Fidelity and look at the history. So this is from October 1st to October 29th, and October 30th and 31st are on the weekend, so nothing there. The one thing that is a bit annoying actually is JP Morgan. They sort of pay out their dividends on the weekend, and just the way that Fidelity shows it, it shows it as being on November 1st. So if I try to filter to October 31st, it still doesn't show that JP Morgan dividend, which is kind of annoying. But we'll just have to deal with it, and we can just include that JP Morgan dividend in the next month's dividends, which is completely fine with me. But for consistency's sake, sometimes it's a lot better if we have that dividend in the same month of every quarter, so we can see a more steady increase in the dividends. But it's not that big of a deal. So we're just running our script here that's going to update our spreadsheet, and once that is done running, I will come back to the spreadsheet here and show you the updated spreadsheet and portfolio, what it looks like, and we will continue there. So as you can see here, the script is finished running, and we'll just look at the overalls here. We had deposits of $45 as always, and we bought 2 stocks this month. Lockheed Martin, we bought 0.3 shares at an average price of around $333, which is about $100 invested, and this is a new position for me. I'm super excited about Lockheed Martin. They are just a great company. They have been increasing their dividend, I think around 17 years if I recall correctly. Don't quote me on that though. And I think their dividend CAGR is in the 8 to 10% range in the recent years, which is pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. And they had a pretty big drop down to around 325, so that's when I decided to get in at a good deal. And then I also bought about 0.79 shares of AT&T. They were just dropping a lot to around $25 per share. And, I'm sure they will continue to drop a little bit more. But I just wanted to buy just a tad more of this company just to increase our dividends just a little bit as well. So we invested about $120 this month, which is super awesome. And we did make a sell, though, and that kind of fueled some of the Lockheed Martin purchase. Was this sell of around 1.24 shares of ExxonMobil, and we got about $80 from that sale. And all of these shares were long-term capital gains, so that's why I decided to sell them now. I have about $5 or $10 invested still, I think. I didn't sell those because those were short-term capital gains, so I didn't want to sell them and get taxed on that. And then we had dividends here around 55 cents from Cisco, 77 cents from Leggett & Platt, and 52 cents from Coca-Cola for a total of $1.84. And if we look in the transactions, these are listed here, and our sale of ExxonMobil is listed, and it shows our profit on our sales here was about $32.47. So that's super awesome. I think our profit was in the 85% range because I've just had a pretty good average price there, and they have just been going up pretty steadily over the last year, even though they're still maybe like $20 below their pre-COVID prices, but they've still had some nice price increases over the last year. And the dividend payments populated nicely in this tab here. And then looking at the dividends by month, we got $1.84, which is exactly the same as last July. So you'd like to see a little bit of an increase, but for me that's okay, because these companies, it's just not the time of year that they increase their dividend, and they weren't at, super great valuations for me to buy more of them. So it's really fine that their dividends haven't increased, in that 1 quarter span. I'll really be looking for like a year out, and if they haven't increased their dividend for a year, then that's where you start to get a little bit concerned. So just starting off the quarter right here, so not much to see here. And on the year, $28.62 in dividends, which is really exciting. And if we look at this changes over time tab and update it here, our new annual dividends is around $48 there. And actually, I'm not exactly sure why it did not update these. Oh, I guess I just have to drag these formulas down there. Yeah, so our annual dividends around $48 total projected, and our dividend CAGR right now is around 9%, which is super awesome. It went up a little bit more because ExxonMobil has a low dividend CAGR, and I sold some of that, and Lockheed Martin has a pretty high, generally speaking, dividend CAGR, and I bought some of that. So right now, annual income around $48 with a portfolio value of $1,857 there, and that gives us our 3-year CAGR, like we said, of 9.11% with a dividend yield of 2.81%, which is pretty exciting to see. And I updated this here. So like I said, Lockheed Martin, we own about 0.3 shares. And if we go back up to ExxonMobil, we can look and we own 0.09 shares. And those are only worth about $5.61 right now. So we own just a tiny bit of ExxonMobil. It's 0.3% of the portfolio. Let me actually sort this by the equity again so we can see. ExxonMobil is by far the smallest position, and Lockheed Martin, it looks like right now is the 5th largest position that we just purchased there. So overall, I'm really excited with the trajectory of this portfolio over the past few months. Over the summer and the spring, I was definitely getting a little bit disappointed just with the dividend CAGR and how some of the companies weren't increasing their dividends as much as I'd liked. But I realized that was definitely on me for holding some of those companies for long periods of time when I knew they just didn't have as good of a dividend CAGR as I wanted, and not buying those companies because I didn't want to add another stock to the portfolio. It's really silly thinking to think that way. And now over the past few months, I've added AbbVie and Lockheed Martin, which are just super solid, and I'm super excited I added those, and those have made me a lot more confident about the portfolio as a whole. So let me know how much you guys received in dividends for the month of October, and thank you for watching the video. I will see you guys in the next one.